Now then, my friends, I am the MacMaster and I am here to give you your daily dose of reality in the world of EV ownership. Now, I've often said that EVs are a way of stopping our freedom of movement. The governments are pushing car industries into pushing us into electric vehicles, and ultimately it's to stop freedom of movement. Now, I've been called a lunatic, I've been called a tinfoil hat wearer, etc. However, it's getting a step closer, because you've seen me travel as far as Benidorm in Spain in this electric car. So you're going to say to me, how can that be stopping freedom of movement? Well, at the moment I was looking at going again to Spain with Geoff buys cars in my electric car and drive a little bit further down, etc., into different places and go on a road trip. However, there's a little bit of a spanner in the works, because DFDS, the ferry people, are actually saying that they're going to ban electric cars on their ferries. Now, I believe they've actually banned charging cars on their ferries. Didn't even know that you could do that on their ferries, to be honest. But I'm going to read you a little news story that a viewer has sent to me about DFDS. I think it is DFDS, the ferry people, and they're going to stop electric cars going on their ferries, so this news report tells me. I'll read a little bit about it for you. I'm also going to try and call Geoff buys cars, I don't know where he is today, to give him the bad news, because if they do that, then I can't travel to Spain with him in my electric car and do another road trip. So we are sort of narrowing the margin of freedom of movement, and the reason that they're actually doing this is because apparently electric cars are a fire hazard. But if you speak to evangelists, they'll say not as much as diesel cars. Now, if that's the case, why aren't they banning diesel cars on ferries? Answer me that question. If you're new to the channel, by the way, hit the subscribe button. Maybe you watch this content and you're not subscribed. It does help the channel, and what it does is push these videos out to YouTube across the world, across the globe, to educate people on the truth of EV ownership. So hit the subscribe button. It is free, I promise. It will not cost you a penny. Now, without further ado, my friends, let's go. Now, I'm actually in Nottinghamshire at the moment. I've come down to see my elder daughters, and I'm having to find a place to charge, because if you'll have seen my previous videos, my ex-wife Sharon won't let me park my electric car on the driveway now, and there's still a charger there from when I had an office there. She won't let me use it and wants me to remove that charger because this car's being recalled because apparently it may short circuit, which could cause it to burst into flames and set fire. So she doesn't want me to park it next to the building. And also, if you've seen a previous video of mine as well, my neighbours don't want me to charge my car at my house now because it could set fire to the house, which could set fire to their house. So there's going to basically just, they're seeking legal advice if that happens, basically. If that happens, whether they can actually take me to court for burning their house down. Hopefully that won't happen anyway, and we're good friends, so fingers crossed I'll be all right. But it does show you the actual problems that are gonna arise if everybody goes electric and everybody has an EV. And you'll have the evangelists saying they're not fire hazards at all. It's just it's all FUD, it's all fear and panic that people trying to have a go against electric cars. If that's the case, then answer me the question. There's also a ferry company, I believe I've been told by one of my viewers, you can verify this in the comment section yourself, over in Thailand. There's a ferry company in Thailand and that has stopped electric cars going on their ferries. Now, if this is the case, right, and the evangelists are saying no, there's more diesel fires than there are electric car fires, why aren't they banning diesel cars then? Answer me that question. And I've got a phone call coming in, so I'm going to grab this and I'll speak to you shortly. Right, okay, that was my sister. So, another factor with electric cars and charging, etc., is the charging time. Now, a lot of evangelists will say, I think you'll find that it's charging while I'm asleep. But yet you still see people on the charge points, on the public charge points. So that's not the case. And I've also said that you've got people that own, you know, who live in terraced houses, or they're in blocks of flats, etc., where you can't have chargers. And by the way, a lot of housing associations now and what do you call it, management companies for private flats and apartments, etc., are banning charge points on their premises. So like I used to live in Nottingham in an apartment there called Morley Mills, and they have a public car park in there, and a lot of places like that are actually banning charge points. So where does that actually leave you? Because it's a fire hazard. Now, if it is a fire hazard, as I keep saying, why not ban diesel cars? Because according to the evangelists, you know, diesel's the ones that sets on fire. If you look at Luton Airport fire, I mean, it was a diesel, wasn't it? It wasn't an electric car. It was obviously a diesel. I mean, it's always a diesel. The funny thing is, you never really heard of these diesel fires before electric cars came out, did you? Then all of a sudden, electric cars are out on the road and there's lots of diesel fires. I wonder why. I know what I was going to say. Going off on a tangent, I've got so many things whirring round in my head about electric cars because I do feel really strongly about it. Somebody said to me, how much time have you actually spent charging your electric car in the 3 years that you've had it and the 60,000 miles that I've done in this car? How many hours have I wasted of my life? And if you put a value on things, what do you put a value? How much value do you put on your time? That should be our most valuable commodity, is our time. And how much time have I spent wasted charging my electric car? Because people will say, you know, as I was saying, you're charging overnight. But the reality of it is, we're not all charging overnight. We're actually charging on public charge points, waiting around, drinking coffee. It seems to me that the only people that actually is making out of this are the charge point companies and Starbucks and Costa and McDonald's or whatever. It's crazy. And then we're going to go down a route of obesity because we're all going to be eating Big Macs, donuts, Burger Kings. In fact, Quentin Wilson, well, on a radio show said, well, I can go and get myself a Burger King while I'm charging. I mean, come on. Right, okay, so I've pulled up. I've got Geoff Buys Cars on the phone here. So Geoff, we were on about doing another trip down to Spain in my electric car and in a car that you've bought.
Yeah, definitely the best trip we did last year. Ended up with some sunshine, some beers in Benidorm, both cars on the waterfront. Got some great photos of the Taycan and whatever I buy. Let's do it again.
Might not be able to do that, Geoff, because it says here, Britain's issued travel warning as ferry operators ban electric cars from charging over fire fears. Now, it says British drivers heading abroad on holiday could find themselves in a difficult situation as a growing number of ferry companies ban the use of electric vehicles on board. Now, I'll put the entire story to this. Bear with me on this, Geoff. With Britons looking to escape the cold temperatures and short hours of sunlight, we know about that, motorists may look to head to the continent on holiday. However, motorists with electric cars could find themselves stuck if they cannot take a ferry, as companies take steps to ban EVs over fire safety fears. In 2010, DFDS, a popular ferry operator around Europe, banned the use of electric vehicle chargers on board ferries following a fire on the MS Pearl of Scandinavia. A spokesperson for the company said the decision was being made for safety reasons. According to the Copenhagen Post, the fire was caused by a short circuit in an extension cable connected to the socket on the dock. And Stena Line's doing the same thing as well. It goes on to, the base of the story goes on here as well, saying that they may take that as far as banning electric cars on board ferries. Now, I find this difficult to believe, Geoff, because it's diesel cars here that are the culprit for vehicle fires, not electric cars.
Usually Range Rovers as well. That is interesting, isn't it? So, I mean, it's just going to make for a really awkward video, isn't it? Geoff drives to Benidorm in a Volvo and Lee spends a week in a hotel in Dover.
Which brings into, again, it brings my, I've always said, electric cars are a way of stopping freedom of movement. Now, is this not stopping freedom of movement?
Well, I mean, if you own a car that you can't take across the channel, yes, you are effectively, landlocked on this island unless you fly anywhere. But I mean, they're bringing in all sorts of flight taxes as well. So it would seem that the conspiracy theorists are scoring another goal with this one, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. It does concern me somewhat. I mean, I've had issues, I don't know whether you've been busy, but I now can't charge my car on my ex-wife's driveway where there is a charger that I used to have for my old office there. My neighbour won't let me charge my car next to their house just in case that it sets my house on fire, setting their house on fire, because obviously my car's now been recalled due to a possible short circuit on the battery, which could cause it to ignite and set fire, and that's why. Now, this is interesting. I think you've seen that video, haven't you? You know all about my battery issues.
I do.
Now, that's interesting because they've got the short. I can't remember what I was going to say now. I've got so much going on in my head. But where does that leave?
I don't think you have got that much going on in your head, to be honest, Lee.
It's just crazy. I mean, where does it leave people with battery operated cars? Because that's what they are with electric cars. People are saying, you've got the evangelists saying that they're not dangerous, they're not fire hazards, there's more diesel cars set fire than electric cars, but we're having recalls on these cars. It's just absolute madness.
Well, we've been over and over this, really, haven't we? And especially on my channel, particularly like last year. And the people do like to turn around and say, well, I think you'll find that there's more fires per X amount of vehicles with petrol and diesel, and it's mostly hybrids. Well, yeah, that may be the case. But what people always fail to mention is that an electric car fire, if the battery goes up, it's absolutely catastrophic.
Oh, I've lost you. Hang on 1 second, Geoff. Hang on, sorry.
It's a major issue.
I lost you there. Do you know why? My car's just crashed. It just said loading account, rebooting. I'd got you on the speaker there, but the system just crashed. Now you're on my phone.
I don't know how you do it with this car thing. I really don't. I've got an old Volvo. It's got a Sony head unit, and I plug my phone into it using a USB cable. And do you know what? It just works. The other thing is as well, we're off. People who've been watching my channel all know I've been preparing to go away on a little bit of travelling, and I'm putting some of my cars in storage. And do you know what I'm not worried about while I'm away?
Go on.
Any of my cars randomly catching fire.
It's beyond belief, to be honest. I mean, I can't believe now the amount of recalls that this Porsche's had. And you'll get people saying, I think you'll find you should have bought a Tesla. The batteries are different on Teslas.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we've kind of done it all now. You know, we know. The way I look at it now is we've tried the electric car experiment. It didn't work. Everybody's cars caught fire. Everybody's cars lost money. And nobody wants them. I had a message from someone this morning saying, Geoff, I've got an electric van that I use for work. It's a 2-year-old, I think he said it's a Volkswagen electric van. When it was brand new, it had a range of 79 miles. And now 2 years later in the winter, fully charged, he gets 38 miles out of it. What is the point?
Fully charged?
Fully charged,
well,
fully funded.
I did a video yesterday, which is probably already come out on the channel, and there was a guy who worked for Mighty, right? And I filmed him. He was off camera, but I got him his van there. He was waiting 1 hour and 15 minutes for his van to charge. I said, "Who's paying you for your time?" He went, "I'm being paid to sit in my van and charge it." 1 hour and 15 minutes.
I'll tell you what then, if I can quickly plug a Facebook group that you'll like in this, I have a Facebook group called Burnt EVs UK, right? And it's a really good place to find honest, not government funded stuff that's going on in the world of EVs. There was a post this morning about someone that said they're charged for 49 minutes to add 147 miles and it cost them 50 quid. So it is still cheaper for me to drive around in a thirsty old petrol Volvo than it is one of these planet-saving EVs. So, yeah, I think the game is up, to be honest.
I think it is as well. And on that bombshell, I've got the bin men here. I'm having my haircut. The bin lorry, by the way, isn't an EV. Otherwise, we'd have rubbish everywhere because nothing would get collected. That is Geoff.
Hang on a minute. Quickly, on electric bin vans, I have done a video on those. They're good because they've got loads of torque and power to get up the hill, but they often can't make it round the whole journey. They cost twice as much as a diesel one, and they've been catching fire in London.
They are rubbish themselves. So
there you go. Straight to landfill. Straight to landfill.
Stay there. That is Geoff Buys Cars. Head over, subscribe to him. He's great. We've done lots of collaborations together, and hopefully, if I can travel on a ferry, I'll put the link to that news story in the description down below. Read it for yourself, and thanks for the guy who sent that to me. Head over. Geoff Buys Cars will be on the end and in the description down below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and join us on our crusade to stop this madness about pushing us into electric cars. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Do you want to say bye, Geoff?
See you all.